There are many FNAF games that were completely cancelled. We can talk about each and every one of them for hours, as they are a huge source of concepts, theories, and mysteries about why they ended up being discarded by none other than Scott himself. However, if there is a cancelled FNAF game that has always caught my attention, it's this Five Nights at Freddy's game. And my friends, this would indeed have been an amazing game, or at least as Scott Cawthon described it. In today's video, I'm going to talk to you about that cancelled FNAF game that we never had the chance to try, whether it was because it was too ambitious, too costly, or maybe too good to be true. Good morning, afternoon, or evening, and let's begin. Let's explain this quite easy concept. AAA video games are known for surpassing the barrier of being simply independent projects with little money involved. They are video games that not only have a high budget, with the advantage of having marketing mechanisms, but are also published and promoted by giant companies or large distributors that allow the game to reach many more people and end up having a significant impact. This also translates to the games having higher quality and, of course, being developed by a professional team. Some games that fit this description would be the GTA series, Cyberpunk, God of War, Horizon, among many others. Now, on August 5th, 2019, Scott Cawthon, the owner of the FNAF franchise, made a quite interesting post through a broadcast channel on Steam about the future of the franchise, where he explicitly stated that a new video game project of Five Nights at Freddy's was being developed in collaboration with Universal, which would probably be announced in 2021. In this post, Scott Cawthon expressed it. An agreement has been signed with Universal to create a multiplayer game. They have had some setbacks at the start, but we hope they sort it out soon. There were some really interesting ideas for the scheduled date 2021. If we take the concept I explained earlier and combine it with Five Nights at Freddy's, we have a sea of possibilities. One could perhaps work on the most ambitious and largest game project the FNAF franchise has ever seen in its entire history, much bigger and more colossal than FNAF Security Breach, Head of Wanted, or Secret of the Mimic. This would have been by far the FNAF game with the most potential to showcase, having not only a huge budget involved, but also the possibility of being a title that would attract the attention of many people both inside and outside the community. However, let's not get too excited. This supposed AAA title is simply ambiguous and could literally refer to anything from the little information we have about this game, which is that it was apparently going to be a multiplayer title. It is not exactly known what type of multiplayer game it was going to be. But with this description, it was clear to us that they planned to bring a project perhaps too enormous for what the then newly flourishing franchise could handle. This post was made in 2019. Let's remember that at that time FNAF Hell Wanted was just coming out and Steelwood Studios was making a small name for itself within the FNAF community that had just learned of its existence. So, although today most people would have wanted to play it, given the circumstances and the poor reception FNAF Unwanted was having at the beginning, being practically exclusive to virtual reality, it was quite likely that the project would end up being a failure. But in the case of FNAF, the fact that there was possibly a AAA game is something impressive, as Five Nights at Freddy's has always been characterized by having games with a low to moderate budget. It is thanks to Steelwood Studios that the modern games of the franchise have been able to be brought not only to 3D environments, but also to virtual reality and a multitude of consoles and devices, allowing Scott to leave behind the role of being the one who makes the games himself to become the director of this franchise and the man behind all the story and ideas. Later, on September 29, 2019, Scott Cawthon made another post, a much less encouraging one, about the future of this project, saying the AAA game was cancelled. Well, no, actually. There has been a small change in this project. I can't really reveal some details, but I'm taking control of it, and I feel much better about its direction. However, it will not start until the end of 2020. Cawthon. This was literally the last post and the last piece of vital information known about this project. Yes, that's where it ended. Cawthon confirmed to us that it has been cancelled for the moment, or possibly paused, and that it wouldn't be set in motion until the end of 2020, which has led several people to speculate quite a bit about what exactly happened with this project. Some say it would become Security Breach, which doesn't make the slightest sense, as Security Breach is neither a multiplayer game nor a AAA game. In fact, it's far from being that. And then what happened? Well, the truth is that its fate is quite uncertain. We don't know for sure if this project is still being worked on, or if Cawthon simply decided to shelve it and save it for later. The last post was made in 2019, quite a few years ago, and many things have happened since then. Notice that even Scott estimated that the release date could be in 2021, something we are very aware obviously didn't happen. Many more games, novels, films, and practically everything you can imagine have been released since then, but from those announcements, releases, and projects, we haven't had a single exclusive multiplayer video game for Five Nights at Freddy's. The only thing that could come close was the Roblox game known as Survival Crew, which was also surprisingly partially cancelled and paused due to the huge criticism people had towards this project. But in summary, was this game on Roblox going to be a kind of Dead by Daylight clone, but with animatronics? And would it be free on Roblox? Well, we don't know. The truth is that there's quite a lot of information about this game that's still out there and very little is talked about. So, taking this into account, we don't know if the Roblox game is some sort of spiritual successor to this AAA game. We don't even know if the deal with Universal is still active, as it seems Cawthon didn't want to give many more details because apparently they were still under contract, so it's logical that as the years have passed, the project has simply been left dead. We don't know if the inclusion of Springtrap in Dead by Daylight is a kind of redemption for this project as a concept. We don't know if it will somehow be revived. The only thing we have left is simply to speculate and imagine what this possible Five Nights at Freddy's multiplayer would have been like. If you ask me, the thought of Sinister Turmoil crosses my mind. A very old and ambitious fan game that was practically the same thing. But it ended up being cancelled because it was too much work for just a free game. A project that would feature various animatronics, game modes, and would have gameplay very similar to that of DVD. That's why I'm not surprised it ended up being cancelled or modified. Whatever the case may be, this is one of the cancelled FNAF games that intrigues me the most. It intrigues me because there is a world of possibilities that could have been explored in it. But anyway, now it's your turn to tell me what you think about this project. Would you have liked to play it? How do you think it would have been? Let me know below in the comments. With nothing more to say, I am Prophecyx, and I'll see you next time.